Sarah Huckabee Sanders, governor of Arkansas, did the Republican response last night to Biden's State of the Union address. And I want to take a look at a couple parts of it, or a couple moments, and discuss just kind of not just this speech that she delivered, of course, former press secretary of Donald Trump, now, as I said, governor of Arkansas, but also what this speech represents about the Republican Party and the difference now between the Democratic and the Republican Party. And primarily and this was so clear if you watched Biden's State of the Union address and then Sarah Huckabee Sanders' response, it's, this is oversimplified, but attached to reality and not attached to reality. And more specifically, Biden was talking about tangible things that will improve the lives of working class Americans. Sarah Huckabee Sanders responds and just talking about woke and CRT and all these things that don't really, in many cases, exist to the extent that they think they exist, but also are just very dishonestly portrayed. Okay, first moment.
To charge boldly ahead. I'll be the first to admit, President Biden and I don't have a lot in common. I'm for freedom, he's for government control. At 40, I'm the youngest governor in the country. And at 80, he's the oldest president in American history. I'm the first woman to lead my state, and he's the first man to surrender his presidency to a woke mob that can't even tell you what a woman is.
We keep telling you, and you just don't like our answer.
In the radical left's America, Washington taxes you and lights your hard-earned money on fire. But you get crushed with high gas prices, empty grocery shelves, and our children are taught to hate one another on account of their race.
Many of the economic things she mentioned there, as we've talked about extensively, aftermath of the pandemic, and they are getting better, showing that clearly Biden's not going in there wrecking everything because things are improving from the pandemic-related economic downturn we were in that caused all these different things, the inflation because of the spending we had to do to get out of that economic crisis, and the price gouging that corporations did because they had the justification of the expected inflation, all these different things, and they're improving. And so that's important to note. And the CRT thing, of course, it's not taught in Arkansas elementary schools, but still she's going to bravely fight against it.
But not to love one another or our great country. Whether Joe Biden believes this madness or is simply too weak to resist it, his administration has been completely hijacked by the radical left.
And so right there, and we'll watch one more clip, but that gives you the sense of it, right? Biden's State of the Union address, if you're watching this in clip form on YouTube and you haven't watched my analysis of that, definitely do that as well. But again, when you watched his speech, and then immediately went into watching Sarah Huckabee Sanders' response, it was so clear and present because this distinction, the juxtaposition between the two parties right now, because Biden focused so much of his speech on very impactful actions that either he wants to get done or has gotten done that would improve the lives of working people. And he walked through them specifically. Did she go through any of the specifics that he walked through, the details of the successes he outlined or proposals that he has? No, it's just the woke mob, this and that, and CRT and what is a woman. Interesting. How does that improve the lives of citizens of America, or more specifically for her, Arkansas? It doesn't. A lot of things Biden outlined are going to improve the lives of those in Arkansas, capping the cost of insulin for Medicare recipients, investing in green energy even, as much as she would stand against that. The investments in infrastructure that will finally get a lot of projects done on infrastructure that should have gotten done a long time ago, many of these impacting so much red states. And she's not going to address any of those because those are popular and those are reasonable. And her job is to make Biden look bad and to attack him no matter the facts of the situation. So they revert back to the only thing that seems to be, I guess, effective for their audience, which is woke, 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 and a little bit more woke. Next moment.
And while you reap the consequences of their failures, The Biden administration seems more interested in woke fantasies than the hard reality.
I saw somewhere on Twitter, maybe someone said, she said, woke, take a drink. I do not suggest you watching any Republican give a speech and drinking whenever they say woke, because you will probably be sent to the hospital.
Americans face every day. Most Americans simply want to live their lives in freedom and peace. But we are under attack in a left-wing culture war we didn't start and never wanted to fight. Every day we are told we must partake in their rituals, salute their flags, and worship their false idols. All while big government colludes with big tech to strip away the most American thing there is, your freedom of speech. That's not normal.
Wait. Okay. Wow. So much there. So the freedom of speech thing, first of all, your former boss and current presidential candidate, Donald Trump, wasn't he the one who called for the termination of the Constitution, which is the very document that protects and establishes the right to freedom of speech? But then also she mentioned freedom. And just generally, I want to take this as an opportunity to talk a little bit about this kind of Republican branding thing of we are for freedom because we are for the absence of government action. To me, and the way I've phrased in the past is, let's distinguish between just this, as they've branded it, version of freedom and meaningful freedom, okay? Because I don't think that you're free if your entire life is wrecked and you're drowned in medical debt because you had one completely uncontrollable medical incident. I don't think you're free in that situation. I don't think you're free economically whenever companies are needlessly and horribly price gouging you for a necessary drug like insulin. And Biden is addressing that, for example, capping the cost of insulin. He wanted to do it for everyone. Republicans blocked everyone, but he got it for Medicare recipients. And I don't think you're free if our world is not livable in however many years because of climate change, and Biden's investing in that. I don't think you're free if you're not able to feel safe because policing in your community is broken. And it goes on and on and on. So we shouldn't allow the Republican Party to say that they're the party for freedom when in many instances, yeah, maybe the government would have a smaller budget, but so many people's lives would be less free. So many people's well-being would be so much worse off. And so I think it's not all government or all absence of government. Where does the government serve a good purpose that can help us more than the absence? And let's invite the government into those spaces. And we use our freedom and our democratic process to make those decisions collectively. That is what we should be talking about, not just this nebulous, anything the government does except for the military is oppression, even though we can choose to use our government to do good things for us. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to be a part of what makes this show possible, plus get access to the full video version of the show hours before all the clips are uploaded to YouTube, plus get the full bonus show every single Saturday, you can do so by going to patreon.com/Luke Beasley. That's patreon.com/Luke Beasley. Link in the description.